It lands every time. It's one of the funniest jokes that I can never do on stage. It's purely situational. And he sees, like, I know he recognizes me now because he'll see me coming up and he'll be speaking and he'll just start shaking his head. And, like, he's got this other guy that hands out Bibles and that guy will try and walk towards me with his hands up. And it just makes it so much more fun because then I'm like NFL linebacker ducking around this guy to get to the preacher so I can run by him and boo him. It's my favorite joke that I do. And I like to think it makes up for all the shitty things I said and did when I was working for a church. I'm balancing out the karmic scales.
Also, when you're in the audience, if you have to go to the bathroom, just go. Yeah, go as like inconspicuously as possible. Very few comics are going to ask where you're going. There are very few places you can go.
Right. Yeah, that is weird. I've seen a lot of people like stand up and really make a meal out of scooting by people. Like, a lot of my opinions about crowd etiquette come from my theater background because theater etiquette's a very real thing. For anybody who doesn't know, if somebody next to you stands up and needs to move past you, move your knees, point your knees in the direction they're trying to walk. That's the thing to do.
That doesn't always work.
Well, I mean, if you're 7.5 feet tall, you know, it's a little difficult. But, and the reason why that works is because theaters were designed to have whatever the size of the chair is that you're sitting in, there's exactly that much space directly in front of and behind you. That's how rows of chairs are splayed out. It's so you can turn your knees in the direction the person is going and cut that space in half, and they can easily slide by you. I've seen so many shows where one person stands up and the whole fucking row feels like they have to stand up and balance around each other like trees in Wizard of Oz, and like they're holding their drinks and something gets spilled. I'm like, bro, if one of y'all could jump over the fucking row. I don't care. Like, do whatever you gotta do to get out of here quick. Make it speedy.
Yeah, I got to be on one of the recordings for Catherine Blandford's Salt Daddy podcast.
Hell yeah.
And you always record more than once because you never know what's gonna happen.
Sure.
And that one, I felt so bad for her. Somebody didn't silence their cell phone, which you should always silence your cell phone. That's a recording.
It's literally the flick of a switch now. Like, used to be you'd have to hold the button down and sometimes it doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. You literally are just flicking a switch on the side of your phone.
Yeah, and that's a recording. She paid a lot of money for that. She had an act go before her because she had several comics all recording at the same time to save money on the space and whatnot. And somebody had to go to the bathroom, and the space isn't that big. Like, that was the Laughing Skull.
Okay, yeah. It's not a huge name.
Yeah, you can cram 30 people in there.
Great aesthetics because of the massive skull and swirling behind you.
It's a beautiful venue. It's super cool. It looks packed and tight. Somebody had to go to the bathroom, and like 2 rows full of people had to move for it.
You guys, you're told over the speakers when the show's about to start. That's your cue to go to the bathroom. That's your time to go grab another drink. Grab 2. Like, to limit disruption seems like it should be so self-evident and so obvious, but I don't know, I saw this clip where one of those douchebags is walking around interviewing people with his iPhone, but he actually managed to catch a clip of this kid saying something really profound. And this kid says, never attribute to malice what you can attribute to ignorance. You know, everybody's going about their day, like, everybody's got shit on their mind. That's a great clip. And it works in public. At a fucking show, you know damn well how you should behave. You know your job is to go in, sit down, listen, laugh, then fuck off. Like, that's your whole gig. Yeah. And anything that you add to that is just purely disruptive.
Yeah, and again, like I was at another comics recording, Dual Aldrich, and we won't talk about the venue, but somebody's phone went off, and they were just going to let it ring, and I grabbed their phone, and I silenced it, and I put it back down, and the dude was trying to fight me at the show during the thing, and I'm like, this is a comedy recording. If you want us to go outside, we can, but
you gotta shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
My favorite thing if a phone rings, I just hold my hand out and I go, let me answer it. Because either they're gonna go, no, and then silence it really quickly and you move on, or they hand the fucking phone to you and now you have control of their life. Because, like, if you answer the phone, it's one phone call, ha ha ha, that's funny, hey mom, whatever, you're at a show, everybody cheers. But then I have your phone and it's unlocked. I'm going to threaten to open your texts. I'm not actually going to do it, but I'm going to threaten.
Matt Rife did that. Someone was like, "Oh, take a selfie," and the phone's unlocked, and he's like, "Oh," and your photos are open. She's like, "Oh no," and he's like, "I won't open it. Just tell me what they are."
I'm the type of person that's like, "Cool, you want to go through my photos? You take it from a military veteran. You can't unsee shit. Yeah. So
buckle up.
Look at your own risk."
Yeah, I take pictures of my own shit to argue with the VA.
Yeah, that's always fun. Yeah, I mean, silence your phones. Like, there are big shows that are, and not just comics. There are concerts now that are doing like the phone bags. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. Like, it does make it so, like, you really have to prioritize calling your baby mama before the show. Because to go out of your way, waiting 3 different lines, you're at the wrong booth, you got to go to another line. Finally, some bitch can't get the tool to work to unlock your phone, so they just cut that bitch open and give you a new bag. That's such a big to-do at those shows that I'm like, I don't care what's going on. I don't give a shit what's going on. I'm not opening this fucking phone bag. Like, my phone can rot for all I care. I'm here for this show, you know?
Yeah. Can y'all think of anything else as an audience member?
So actually, yeah. Well, this kind of pairs with, like, I have big opinions about comic etiquette too.
We'll get there.
Sure, and this kind of plays into one of those points, but not every comic watches the whole show, and I have opinions and feelings about that for later. But I was at a show. This used to be my favorite show of all time because it was such a ridiculous experience. But when we played in Rex, and if anybody's listening, if anybody's
Little Apollo,
yeah, if anybody has listened to my podcast, Making Small Talk, or ever sees me like surrounded by comics, this story comes up because it was such a wild venue. It's full of stories, but. It was this, to make a long story short, is this rowdy ass crowd who doesn't let you get through material. It's
don't do material. You're doing crowd work.
Yeah, it was a crowd literally full of hecklers who didn't give a shit that you were on stage. They don't care about your opinions or your funny little views. They want to talk. So I did the only thing that I could do, and I let them talk. And I had a 20-minute feature, so it's 20 minutes of me going back and forth with this audience. And there was this bit. This chick just didn't understand the joke, and she kept asking me to explain it. And it was just the sound that a bird makes. And I just kept saying the word tweet back to her. And I got the whole crowd to shout tweet at this bitch until she finally understood. This nice, lovely woman who was at the show. Until she finally understood that she was the butt of the joke and was quiet. But then I watched 2 actual working comics get up after me. And the whole crowd just screamed tweet at them the whole show, and they had no idea what was going on.
Because they got there late.
They were late, and they had no clue what was going on. They couldn't get through their material, which is better, far better than my material, because the crowd was so rowdy, and one of my jokes carried over into their sets. So if you're an audience member and there's a crowd participation bit, that exists within the bounds of that comic's time. Like, it's such a weird thing. It probably doesn't happen very often, but I've seen it at enough other kinds of shows, like at a concert where somebody gets everybody to dab, and then the next act comes on and everybody's dabbing, and the vocalist is like, why the fuck is everybody dabbing right now? Like, what's going on? You know, keep the bit within its context.
Well, sometimes there's good callbacks on it. I remember that show because I got tweet. All little birds on Jaybird Street. Played at the end of the show. And like me and only 2 other people were laughing our asses off.
That shit was hilarious.
But I did one of the Macon Art Center recordings for making Laughs at the Mac. Wow. Brain fart. And there was a couple of comics that kept asking how much time they have left, which... Don't do that, comics. You break immersion like that. The crowd, this is one of Dane Cook's sayings, want to think you're just hanging out. That's why the background and backdrop of most comedy clubs are bricks. It's like you're just hanging out outside of the club, outside the house. That's the point of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, are we doing comic etiquette, or is that for?
Yeah, we can jump into that now.
Yeah, this is just etiquette. This whole episode's about etiquette.
That plays in. Like,
show up early.
Yeah, be early. As honestly, as a comic and as a guest, like be early. Any event, not even just comedy, get there early. You get a better parking spot. You get your drinks. Like you
get a better seat.
Get a way better seat. No, what you bring up, like I have very strong feelings about comedian etiquette, because I have very deep roots with theater etiquette, and that is like, if you want to get blacklisted and never work again or never get another show, you break theater etiquette. And it's a lot of that is superstitious stuff, like you don't whistle backstage. You don't,
no peacock feathers because it's an eye. And
right?
It's bad
Like
luck.
nobody plays on Halloween. Like you don't. That one's lesser, but like there's a Shakespeare play that you don't say the name of inside of a theater. And drama kids like me never say it at all. Just because
that's helpful.
I know. Well, we instead of saying the name of the play, we say the Scottish Lord. And I can say it starts with an M, but we just don't say that word. You guys could say it, no problem. Doesn't bother me at all. I just don't say
McDonald's.
Yeah, that's it. McDonald's. But so I have very deep roots in performance etiquette, and so I have very strong opinions about it. And I will say, like, there are a lot of people who do comedy every day. They hit multiple rooms a day. They're really struggling. This is their dream, and they are fighting for it. And I have the utmost respect for those people. But if you don't watch the show that you are playing at, and you're not the headliner, you can go fuck yourself.
And watch the show. Listen to the comics. Because not every comic's going to want feedback on it. But a couple of the new ones do. Like, I did Smith's Old Bar open mic because I had a corporate event prior, and if there's a mic and you can hit it, do it.
Right.
And, like, there was a new comic there. Like, right out the womb. New.
Mm-hmm.
And she probably had some good jokes, but she was too quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And she machine gunned, and she stepped on her last. And I'm like, hey. If you care, these are some things I noticed. Work on this, and this. She was so damn thankful for that feedback because nobody else gave her the time of day or anything. And like, me coming up, I didn't have that.
Right.
I had to just figure it out.
I would rather somebody tell me that something I said wasn't funny than that they didn't listen to it. You know what I mean? Like we're all here, especially if we're on a show where we're getting paid the same amount, whether it's actually getting paid or nothing. If we're both here for free, watch my set. I'm going to watch your set. It's just... and
even if you've seen it 100 times.
Yeah. There's two main reasons. Like, it's not even just a politeness thing. One, give your friends laughs. Like, don't ha-ha, hee-hee, har-har way too hard. But, like, you adding your laugh volume to the room does wonders. Because a lot of people don't feel comfortable laughing loud.
Well, if one person laughs, it's contagious.
Yes.
Like, if you go to a haunted house... A lot of times there will be just one random person put into a group that is going to scream and be afraid, and it's infectious. That's called a plant.
Right. And I don't necessarily like agree with the ethics of intentional plants, but like if you're at your friend's show or you're watching your friend's set, laugh, man. Like especially if you enjoy your friends and their company, like which I do most of the cats that we work with. Like I enjoy these guys.
We have a really cool, awesome scene where we're at.
Great cast. But the second reason it's so important to watch other people's sets is like what I was talking about with the tweet story. It's more dangerous to go up to a room that you don't know than it is to go up on a cold room. I'd rather go in a room where somebody bombed or the whole show has sucked shit that I've watched the entire time. Because one, it's free material, but two, you already have an established relationship of experience with the crowd.
And let's go over what they mean by free material. You can comment on things that were said. Don't steal jokes.
Yes. Yeah. Like I accidentally stole one joke and I still feel bad about it. I did it to Trey at his roast.
Yeah, you did. That was my good singer too.
I know it was your best joke. It was a joke that he had run by me like a month and a half prior because he really planned this show out, so he was putting a lot of effort into it on the front end. And he told me this joke and I was like, "Fuck, that is hilarious!" Like a month and a half goes by. I'm not thinking about it. I get up on stage. I'm going through because a roast, you're going over all the panel as well, and I used his joke, didn't even think about it, but when I turned around behind me and I looked at Trey, I saw in his face, I was like, oh my fucking God, that was his joke. Like, it was such a good joke, and I totally ripped it out of his hands.
And he literally said that on stage.
I was like, fuck, that was Trey's joke. God damn it. I'm like, I felt horrible about it. So, don't steal jokes. But
accidents happen, and as long as you're like, dude, I fucked up. I'm sorry. It's cool.
I fucked that right.
But that was like the crescendo. That was the last joke of my roast set.
It was the worst one that I could have stolen. It was terrible. But since then, I'm super because And now there is a difference between stealing a joke and thinking laterally with somebody. Like, I've been on a lot of shows where something topical has happened. And
UFOs, submarine.